everyone, welcome back to the channel. I'm going to be doing a colour along in this book today. This is Flowerscape. Now I did purchase this a couple of weeks back, but I'm yet to pick a page and colour in it. But I was just randomly lying in bed last night, you know, when you can't sleep and you're just thinking about what colouring page you might want to colour in next, or what artist, what book. And I thought I really want to colour in this book. And then I looked around my room and I got some inspiration for a page in this book. So the page I'm going to be doing is, I did just find it and I flipped past it, is this one. So it's a double page spread, as you can see, and I just think the position of it on the across the page is so beautiful. But the inspiration I've got for this page is here. Let me just show you. So this is my bedroom, guys, and as you can see I have lovely floral curtains. Now these are in a sort of ochre and grey sort of tones. It's maybe a tiny bit of cream in some of the flowers, but I just thought how nice would that colour palette be on that page in the Flowerscape. So if we go up, you can see that there's, you know, there's greys, there's like white cream, there's this ochre, and then sort of the Naples ochre possibly right in the centre, or a bit of umber. And I just thought that would be really nice as a colour palette on that page. So I'm going to give it a shot and I'm going to limit the palette to just those colours, and I'm going to see what it looks like. So yeah, let's get going. I'm going to use the Polychromos pencils. But before we get into the pencil work, I am going to fill out some of this background space. So I thought that I would use pan pastels, and I thought that I would put in a lovely nice grey tone in the background. So it's going to be quite light, or I'm going to go for that. And then obviously the leaves I'm going to do a darker grey. So let's see, have I got any paper to put underneath here to protect it? I did have lots of paper on and dotted around my desk, but I think the children have been in for all the paper. I've just found some. So I'm just going to pop a sheet under there, and we'll pop a sheet under here just so we've not got pastel flying everywhere. So that should be okay. I'm going to take this tag off because we obviously don't want anything going on there. So the colour pastel I'm using today is, let me hold it upside down without it dropping on my head. It is called the Neutral Grey. So don't mind my pan pastels, they are a bit messy now. But this is called Neutral Grey, and I'm just going to pop a little bit of this in all the background. Now if you do go over the illustration, you know, with soft pastels or any pan pastels, it's really easy to erase with a kneadable eraser. So I've got my trusty kneadable eraser on hand, but I am just going to go in with this pastel. So there is bits in the centre as well that I might get with this, or I might do it with, you know, a bit of a pencil. I've not quite decided. But I'm really not too fussed about any of that. See how I've just gone over the leaf by accident there? Just go like that. It's more or less gone, she says. But yeah. So I'm going to start here where we've got a big area. And you can even, if you wanted to, because if I find it's a bit too dark, I can get my white pan pastel and mix some of that in on top, which I'm probably going to do with this. I probably will. So I'm just getting into some of the areas that you can see that are in the actual illustration as well, that, you know, is background. Then obviously I'll go in with the eraser at the end and just get anything we don't want out of there. But you've just got to go for it. Don't be scared. It can be erased. And the majority of this is going to be with grey pencil anyway, so there's a good chance that we're just going to cover all that up anyway with the same colour. So when you're using pan pastels, it's not too bad on this paper, but the first layer is always harder to put down than the layers you put on top. So when I go in with the white, over the top of this, you might find that it glides more easily. Are we in frame? Probably not, knowing me. I'm good at that. Aren't I? If you know me, you'll know I'm good at that. And of course, there's going to be spots that I've missed, because there always is with me. But we can always go in at any time and just add them in. Not to be worried about any of that. So it always looks really clumsy at first, but do not fear. So if you didn't already see, I did just finish a page yesterday that I'd prepped. I'd prepped the page with a gesso first. I really thoroughly enjoyed colouring it. I prepped it a whole page with gesso, and then I did it with watercolour. And you don't have to be scared about how much water you're putting down, because it really does protect the paper, and it allows you to put lots more water down on the page. It's really good. I'll definitely be doing it again, definitely. So I think we've got all the space on that one. I'm going to go over to the right hand side and do that, and then we'll get the white. I'll get a bit of white pan pastel out. So we'll start in this top corner up here. So I probably will keep the corners dark grey and then just add the white as we get more into the centre. That's what I tend to do on my pan pastel pet portraits as well, for the backgrounds. Get into that bit there. I love how it's placed on the page, this illustration. So pretty. Bit in there. Oh, we're taking the kiddies to the circus on Tuesday. We're so excited. Well, I've only told my eldest. I've kept it a secret from the other little ones, just in case, for any chance it has to be cancelled, because we don't want them to get their hopes up, because the little ones don't understand when things get cancelled, do they? They really don't understand. So fingers crossed it all goes ahead and everything, but yeah, we've not told them, so it'll be a surprise for them. Have a nice evening. I love watching the what do you call them? Are they called aerialists? What are they called? I think that's what you call them. I love watching those. Aerialists, acrobats, whatever you want to call it. Whack a bit of that in the centre. Can we see any other little bits of the background hiding in the midst? A bit down here. I think this is going to look really pretty when it's done. I hope it does. It looks like a bit of a car crash at the moment, but it always does. It always does at the start when you're trying to fill in everything with pan pastel and going over the illustration. But it'll all come together in the end, I promise you. Right, so I'm going to go in with a bit more darkness in the corner here, and then I'm going to get the white so that we can make this bit whiter. So darker on the edges, lighter in the centre, sort of thing. We're still in shot. Move you over this side. Pull you down. It's multitasking it. It's fine. It's trying to stay in shot when you've got a big double page spread. I stayed quite zoomed out for the last Colouralong that I did because I knew that I'd end up off the out of frame. Bit in the corner there we missed, isn't there? That's leaf. Bit at the top corner up here that you can see. Whoops. Right, I'm going to get my white now. It should just be to the side of me. So this is, I think it's called titanium white. Yeah, it's called titanium white. I'm just going to add a bit. Let's bring the picture back in the centre. What am I doing? So I'm going to add a bit of white around here. So you can see that it almost gives it, I don't know how to explain it, it's almost like a smoothness. Really nice. Put some here. And then the same at the top, so here. That's better. It's just lightened it up and it's smoothing it out. If you can hear children having a good little argument, Daddy'll sort it out, don't worry. Always fighting over something in this house. You can imagine with 5 of them. Normally it's the youngest running off with my 10-year-old's favourite toy because she finds it hilarious. She chucked it over next door's garden as well earlier. She's so naughty. So naughty. Right, I think just going to go over some of these little bits in the centre with the white to just brighten those up a bit. Like I said, don't worry about the illustration because we can erase where we don't want it to be at the end, but we just want to make sure that we've got all that background filled in so we don't have to keep going back in later. We can go back in later, it's no worries, but it's just better to try and get it all done and dusted. So that's that. So I'm going to go in with my eraser now, and the good thing about these kneadable erasers, let me blow the page. The good thing with these kneadable erasers is that you can sort of get a point on them, so you can sort of mould them into a little point there. So then you can use this point to really get where you don't want. Let me bring you in and we'll see. So over here, you know, you barely have to touch the page and it's gone from the edge of that flower. So I'm going to speed up the process of me erasing this and then I'll come straight back to you. See you soon. Hello, so I'm back and I've erased as much as I can really of the background, but as I say, I am going in on all these leaves with a sort of grey and ochre colour palette anyway, so a lot of these leaves that have got a little tiny bit of grey left on them, I will be going over them, so I'm not worried about that at all. So I've just got my little swatch book and I'm going to pick out some nice ochres and greys, so we're going to have a see what we've got. So I am just going to start by basing the flower. So I'm going to start with this one at the top. It's really my pet hate doing flowers at the top of pages. Like, you know, when they're going off the edge of the page, it's really hard to, your pencil just keeps flipping off. It's really tricky. Really tricky. My curtains are behind me as well, so I keep sort of having to do a full turn to check out the colours in the curtains. Check out where the darkest tone is. So I'm sort of going to go in with that. I'm just going to sharpen these pencils off. Would help if my sharpener was open and not closed, wouldn't it? So let's have a look. So the darkest colour is going to be my light yellow ochre, is it actually? Because that's a dark Naples ochre. Have I got this right? Have I got this right? Because they really do not look like that on the pencil, on the edge of the pencil. So that's the dark Naples ochre that I've got here. And then the light yellow ochre. Yeah, the light yellow ochre, it's actually darker, isn't it? By a touch. Maybe. Yeah, so we'll start with the light yellow ochre in the centre of the flower. Or sort of around here. So I'm just going to go in with a head pressure. Then I'm going to slowly release the pressure so that it's going into a light pressure. My chair is squeaking as well, I apologise, need some WD-40 on it. So I think this is going to be in a two-parter or something like that, because I don't think for 1 minute I can get all this page done. Just put it out there. Put it out there. It's quite a fun one though, because it's not the whole page. We do have some space around the outsides. Lighten that off a little bit. Has anybody else ever took inspiration from things around the home? Fabrics or other things, utensils or anything like that? Anything wild and wacky? It just came to me when I was, you know, full of useful thoughts when you lay in bed trying to get to sleep and it's too hot to sleep. And I just thought that would be a really nice colour to do on that page. As you do. So there's no like particular technique I use when doing flowers. I just literally do my own thing. I don't do the same thing every time I come to a flower page. I do tackle it differently every time. But I think, is this part of the petal, do you think? I think it is. Oh, it's that really tricky bit on the end where it's throwing your pencil off. Does that irritate anyone else, or is it just me? Please say it irritates you. Please. Right, I'm gonna go in dark right on the lip of this here. Is that what you call it? Like the inside bit. There we go. Then I'm going to get I'm actually going to get the Naples Yellow next. So this is 185. And I'm just gonna, oh, that snapped, must have been over sharpened. I'm just gonna bring some of that colour up a bit. It just brightens it up a little bit in some areas, that does. I'm just looking at my curtains to see, yeah, they're quite a lot of cream in them on the edges. So I will go back in with that cream and I will burnish with the cream in a second. So I'm going to go back in with the cream now and I'm going to burnish this. Burnish, burnish. I'll have no cream pencil left by the end of this page. Got a feeling. So I will make these flowers slightly different as well. Some I'll do darker than others. So this was quite a dark one where there's not much cream space on this one, to be honest. I could even blend in a bit of ivory just to lighten some of the other flowers up a bit more. But there we have it, there's our first one. Moving on to the second one. Now what I find hard about detailed pictures is working out what's what. So no doubt through some point in this video I will end up colouring a leaf as a flower, or a flower as a leaf, or a bit of background as a flower, etc, etc. You get the idea. But I'm fine with that, I'm fine. I mean, who's going to really notice when the page is finished, really? Don't all shout at the camera. But yeah, no, who's going to notice? Not going to notice. It's unusual colours anyway. I mean, where would you find a grey leaf? Unless it's dead. But there we go, that's the cream colour down first. Now this time, instead of going in with the light, what was it, the light yellow ochre first, I'm this time going to go in with the dark Naples ochre, which is 184. I'm going to use this time. So again, starting from the centre, but I'm not going to put as much as in this one, so you can see I've not brought it up quite as far. I'm just going to have this right at the base almost of the flower. I love colouring flowers, and I mean, some people might look at this page and think, oh gosh, how can you sit through and colour a double page spread of that? But I love it. I love it. There's not too much thought that you have to put into it with me. You know, some pages, the pages that daunt me are the ones where I don't know what colours to do and things like that. But flowers are just repetitive. They just, you don't need to think about it. It is almost mindless because it's just, you know, unless you want to do something really out there and do everything different colours. But if you're doing something with a simple colour palette like this, then you're just repeating the same thing over and over. Get in there a little bit. So I think the leaves will be really fun to do, but I am just going to do all the flowers first. Oh, we'll see. I might do a couple of leaves for you, just to break it up a bit. Because it will be in two parts. Like I said, I'm only able to film about an hour's worth. Before my phone says, no storage, sorry. Emergency vehicles going past my house. I don't know why I'm talking strange. I'm in one of them funny moods. You know when you're in a crazy mood? I think my kids are playing hide and seek. Might find one of them bursting in to hide in my room in a second. So all my new books that you saw in my last haul, I am trying to work my way through them. So this is one of them. So I'm colouring a page from here. But I am trying to work my way through, so I'm at least colouring one page out of each of the new books that I've got. Because I did purchase quite a lot of new books, and I've not got around to colouring in them all yet. I coloured a page in the Lady Spring book that I got. That was a really different page, sort of style to what I normally colour. I didn't love it when it was finished, but I didn't hate it either, and it's been growing on me. It really has been growing on me, the page that I did. If you follow me on Instagram, it was a sort of all purple sort of tones, and she had like a lot of branches coming off her from her hair, or maybe branches as her hair. That's the tongue tie. But yeah, so I need to colour a page from that book that I did flip off the other day. You might have seen. I really need to colour a page from there, but I want to take my time with it. It's not something I can pick up and put down so easily when I'm looking after the kids, that one, because I really want to get the colours right, because it's one of those that's got like the reference on one side so you can pick out the same sort of colours, and I really want to do that. Right, I'm thinking instead of going in with the cream on this one, just to switch it up a bit, I'm going to go in with the ivory, just so the white, the sort of, well, they're not white because I based them with cream, but just sort of so those areas sort of stay a bit brighter. So just going to sharpen my ivory pencil, guys. I'm going to mix it up, so some flowers I will use the cream to burnish, some flowers I'll use the ivory to burnish, and it's just, you know, it's giving everything a bit of difference. So this is ivory 103. I do try my best to avoid the line art when I'm doing this, just because, especially if you use the white Prismacolor to burnish, I hate how it makes the line art dulled down. It's nothing worse, it's just a pet hate. That's why I don't like using it. But these ones seem to be okay. My good old trusty Polychromos, I absolutely love them. I wish I'd have bought these sooner, but they were expensive, and you know, when you just started out with colouring, you think, oh my gosh, you know, who spends that much on some pencils? Well, you do in a few months time, when you've been colouring them all. Right, I'm gonna go in again now. I'm gonna do this flower here, so again I'm gonna base it with a light layer of the cream. Cream, 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 cream. Yeah, I think I should order myself a few more pencils as backups for the ones that are getting a bit low, like this cream, for instance. It's the good thing about being able to buy open stock. Since I got these pencils though, I've hardly touched any of my other sets. I've not touched my Arteza pencils since I got these. I've just not. So I'm going to go in now with the light yellow Orca 183. But I did use last month, I did use my Derwent Colour Softs, and I do love those pencils. They give it a different look. The finished page, it's almost a different sort of look that it gives to the page. So where are we starting with this one? Oh my gosh, I over sharpened that as well. So we'll start at the base again. Trying to think of a series that I want to watch next. We love, me and my partner, we love watching all these sort of Marvel things, the Marvel series that are coming out. So the first one that we watched was WandaVision. Then we watched the Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Then we watched Loki. Is that how you say it? He's always saying that I say it wrong. It's Loki, isn't it? Yeah, we watched Loki. So now that's finished, nothing to watch. Nothing to watch. Oh, he watched the new Black Widow movie the other day. I've not watched it yet. He watched it with the kids. Forgot what I were doing. I might have been filming, actually. Very possibly might have been filming, or I was getting my youngest to sleep, because she's a nightmare for getting to sleep. So it was either one of the two. Don't quite know which one. I find the polychromos as well a lot easier to control than the Prismacolors. When I put the Prismacolors down to the page, how I'm starting off with a hard pressure here and then slowly releasing into a nice light blend, I can't do that with the Prismacolors. It just goes down harsh straight away and then it doesn't go into that nice sort of blend, or I can't get them to do that. Don't know. I think we all have our preferences, don't we? It's like the luminance, the Caran d'Ache luminance. I don't like them either. I got a few single stock of them and I absolutely hate them. I've tried multiple times to keep, you know, colouring little bits here and there with them, but no, I hate them. So thank God I didn't spend a load of money on a full set of them. I'd have been gutted. I'd have been absolutely gutted. Anybody else the same? Got any unpopular opinions on anything? I mean, when I first started out, I got gifted a set of the Castle Art pencils, and at the time I loved them. I absolutely loved them. And then as time went on and I started purchasing other pencils, I purchased the Arteza pencils, and I realised how much nicer the Arteza pencils were. It's just that with the Castle Arts I found some inconsistencies. It wasn't that there was that all the pencils I found rubbish, it was just inconsistencies. So for example, one colour may lay down beautifully, and then there might be a few colours where they're really scratchy on the page, and it was just, you know, some sort of quality issue, I think. I think I'm going to order a big shop tonight to come tomorrow. I don't go to the supermarkets when the kids are off because it means taking 5 kids into the supermarket, and I can't think of anything worse. So I'll get it delivered to the house. There's no way I'm going out. No way. Is anyone brave enough to do that? Take the kids shopping. I hate it. You forget what you've gone in for. I put a list on my phone if ever I have to for whatever reason, because the minute you get in there, the badger in your head and you've forgot what you've gone in for. I bought some ice creams today for them, and then I bought a box of those, we call them ice pops, but you can get them, you buy them defrosted. So they're like defrosted ice pops, and then when you get home you put the box in the freezer. And my daughter was after one, and I was trying to explain, you know, they're not frozen yet, you have to wait for them to freeze. And so she kicked off. She didn't understand. So I had to open the actual box and show her that, look, it's liquid. I'm liking how this is looking. I like the colour of these flowers. Really do. Why didn't I think of this sooner for anything else so that I've done with flowers on? We bought this bed cover when we was planning on redecorating our room. So I bought the new bedding and I bought the curtains to match, and then we never ended up actually painting the walls, so we just ended up with a new bedding. New curtains, but the walls are like magnolia, but we haven't decorated in here in the longest time. Like since we moved in, we haven't decorated in here, and we must have done the kids' rooms about 3 times. So we just leave ours because we go through a cycle of decorating the kids' room, the dining room, the living room, and then we never get round to our room. It's always the same cycle of kids, dining room, living room. Occasionally the bathroom, but yeah, normally the bathroom's just, you know, redo it in white Give it a splash of white paint. So there we go. Now this one I am going to go in but with a little bit of cream. So I'm just going to blend the cream into this darkest colour we used, leaving a little bit on the edges, because I am going to go on the edges with the ivory. My partner borrowed his nephew's steering wheel as well for the, he was using it with the PC on a racing game. I think it was some sort of F1 game or something like that. So he borrowed that to see if he liked it, because he thought there's no point in buying one if he didn't like it. So he's been trialling that out for a few days, and he likes it. I think he might be after buying one. So I've got to go and drop his nephew's back off at his nephew's house. So I'm going back in with the ivory 103. I used to play computer games, like, you know, when I was about 15, 16, but I totally just, you know, grew out of them. Just grew out of them. Occasionally I play on the silly little games, the apps that you can get on your phone. Like I used to play a bit of Piano Tiles, a bit of this restaurant game where you used to, you know, keep food there and sell it. I think it was some sort of restaurant game, silly little game thing. But I've never actually got into doing any sort of proper gaming on the PC or the Xbox and whatnot. I've totally grown out of all that stuff, all that good stuff. So going back in with that cream again, what flower should we do? Should we do this little one here? So again, basting it with the cream, which is, I do apologise, a 102. I think my camera just doesn't like to zoom in sometimes as well. You know how I said about trying to work out what's leaves and what's flowers? This is a leaf, isn't it? Is this a leaf? Is this a leaf? Not a leaf, a petal. That's a petal. That is a petal, isn't it? That is a petal. That's a petal. It is now. It is now. So next I'm going to go in with the Dark Naples Orca 184. I'll link all these pencils in the description as well anyway, so. But it's the same pencils more or less. I'm cycling between a couple of different pencils. Not too many. I don't do 1,000,001 pencils. I just can't keep track of them all. The simpler the better for me. I'm just one of them types of people. So I started buying the school uniforms already. We've only just come into the summer holidays, but I thought, obviously, with having 5 kids, I thought I'd best get started on buying the new uniforms for September. So I spent £100 yesterday. I've not even got half of it yet, but I spent £100 yesterday. I got 2 of my daughters the skirts and tops. My other daughter, I got some tops and PE kits. Some pumps. Yeah, it's so expensive. Luckily my eldest daughter doesn't need a new blazer, because last year when she started, the sort of size blazer that she needed was really long on the arms, so she spent the first year with the sleeves on the arms rolled up, so it still fits her. So that's lucky. I don't have to buy a new blazer. Forgot how much I paid for that blazer actually. But it all adds up, I think the shoes are the most expensive. Because I used to get the, you know, just the supermarket shoes, but they don't last 2 minutes. So I like to get them kickers, because I bought my daughter's kickers and they've lasted like, I know they've not been in school for the majority of the year, but they've literally lasted all year. with it falling apart. So that's good. But my eldest daughter's school, I think it's all the high schools now over here, you're not allowed to wear branded gear. I think it's just to stop any sort of bullying and whatnot, which is 100% the right thing to do. But yeah, they're not allowed brands. Right, so I'm going in with Ivory 103. So any coats they have, or any trainers for PE, they've not to be a branded name, like you can't have Adidas or Adidas, however you say it. They can't have anything like that, they've just got to be plain. The coats have got to be plain black or navy blue. And that's right to me, that's the right thing to do, because when I was growing up, obviously being from a single parent family, my dad left when I was 8, so it was just my mum bringing me up, and we never had the branded stuff, you know. We always had the two-stripe, they used to call it, didn't they, where it was like the fake Adidas. That's what we had growing up, and you know, we got teased for it, and it's not a nice thing, you know. It's not a nice thing. I think we've come away from that a lot these days with the likes of you know, the kids like going to Primark now, you know, they like the high street sort of stores, but there is still that thing of, you know, there is a little bit of that still there about on what type of things that children are wearing, etc., isn't there? So I'm going to go back in with the cream now, 102, and I'm going to base this flower down here. Right, what colour did I use on the last one? Right, this time I'm going to use the light yellow Orca 183 on this one. I'm out of breath from running up the stairs, how bad's that? Should have brought a drink up with me. Or an ice cream. Help myself to an ice cream while she's had one. That is a leaf. Not a leaf. I keep saying leaf, but I mean petal. There we go. We had confirmation from school though, which I'm excited about. My youngest daughter's school, we've not been able to use the car park that parents used to park on, because the building was being used as a vaccination centre. Now I'm not sure if it is still being used as a vaccination centre, but we wasn't allowed to park on it because it was being used as that. We wasn't allowed to park on it, but they've said from September we're allowed to, so I'm wondering if they're no longer going to be using it as a vaccination centre from September, that we're allowed to park on it now. But I ain't complaining, because the children are safer on that car park than the main road, because the teacher's been having to bring my youngest daughter to the car for me, because obviously I've got another toddler who likes to run in roads as well, so trying to keep hold of them both on the main road. One that doesn't come back when you shout no or stop, so yeah. I was filling all the forms in for it's called an EHCP over here, so when they need extra help in school, there's a sort of educational healthcare plan, it's sort of called, that gets put into place. So we're applying for that at the minute, so fingers crossed they accept it. If they don't, we'll be appealing, I think, because they're giving her all the sort of one-on-one time in school, but they need the extra funding for it now. But it's all good. It's good when you've got a school behind you who, you know, they can see it all. They can possibly even see more than me when she's in school. Different sort of behaviours, like she's more loud and naughty at home because of her selective mutism. She's very quiet in school, so although she still refuses to do things in school, she'll refuse quietly, if that makes sense. So she'll just sort of shake her head and stand in silence because of the selective mutism. But when she's at home, she's obviously not selective mute around people she knows. So me, for example. So when she doesn't want to do something at home, then she'll voice it. She'll scream and shout, and you know, that part of it is hard for them to see because, you know, she's so quiet in school. She's a little character though. They all say how cute she is and, you know, how lovely, because she's such a character. She's brilliant. Brilliant. So I think on this flower I'm going to bring in a bit of that colour that I used on the first one. I think it was the first flower. It was the Naples Yellow, the 185. Hope you've not lost that pencil. I've not used it for a while. And I'm just gonna add a bit into it from the bottom, going halfway up, sort of, and just blend it in there. It's just gonna bring some brightness into this, that's all. My chair needs this WD-40 on it, my gosh. Don't know if the camera will pick it up, but every time I move it's like That's a bad impression of a squeaky chair, but there we go. There we go. So I'm going to get my ivory and I'm going to burnish with the ivory on this one, I think. So ivory 103. Let's get them edges burnished. Sometimes I don't burnish, you know. Especially when I'm using the Derwent Colour Softs, I like the texture that it leaves. So when I'm doing flowers, I think I did a page recently, a Mariola Budek page where she had like a flower garland in her hair, and I left the texture in and it was gorgeous. I know a lot of people don't like doing that. They're like, what? No burnishing? No blending? But yeah, I really like the texture of it with some pencils. The Derwent Colour Softs leave a beautiful texture to the page. Anyone else the same? Anyone? So I've done 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 flowers. I'm just going to check what sort of time I'm on and then we'll move on to this big flower up here. So I have got time to do one more flower, I think. So we'll go in with this big one up here. Lovely big one. We'll end on a big flower right in the corner again, right on the edge, should I say. I think this might be in more than 2 parts actually, looking at it. Maybe because it's the same colours for the flowers. What I might do, because you're gonna know what you're doing by watching me do these flowers here. So what I might actually do is complete the rest of the flowers off camera, and then when I come back I can start on some of the leaves, because obviously you've got all the colours and the gist of how I'm laying them down for the flowers now. So I'm going to go in with not the dark Naples Ochre, or was it? Was it? No, I'm going to go in with the light yellow ochre, the 163. Just give it a wee sharpen. Zoom in a little bit, bring you down so we're not out of frame. So there's two different types of leaves on this page as well. So I don't know if I'm doing them. Yeah, they will all be grey, but some will be lighter than others. You've obviously got these big ones here, and then you've got these tiny little ones here. So I have seen dotted around YouTube as well, the new Ruby Charms colour. I forgot the full name of it, but it's the swatch book. You know, the Ruby Charms swatch book. And I wasn't really interested at first, and then I thought, actually, that would be quite nice with the good paper, so that you can put all your water mediums in there as well. Swatch all your water mediums, because it's the artist edition, which, you know, it must have good quality paper in it. But then I'm not sure if you can get it from anywhere else, but when I looked at the Ruby Charms website, is it, or where she sells it, I forgot where it was that I clicked on, but the shipping to the UK was I think it was £29, $40. Was it $40? The cheapest one, which when I converted it, it came to around £29, which nowhere, not for a swatch book. I'm not paying that much amount of shipping for a swatch book. So they can keep it. They can keep it. I don't mind being swindled if it's like, you know, an artist that I really like, a really gorgeous book, but not a swatch book. I'm not paying that for a swatch book. No way was it. Not in this lifetime. I've not seen it on Amazon yet, put that way. They have the regular one, but they don't have the artist edition, or I've not seen it. Whether they will in the future, I don't know. Does anyone know that? No idea. I can hear my partner raging on the Xbox. I don't know who he's playing with. I don't know who he's playing with. I think it's his nephew, actually. So funny listening to him. My daughter does it now. She's in a bedroom at night playing on it, shouting, and I'm like, shh, shh. The amount of times I have to go in and go, shh. Yes, brother and sister are in bed. They're asleep. Something so therapeutic about colouring flowers. I don't know why people hate it. Each to their own, isn't it? I love her. I love colouring her, and I love colouring flowers. Skin, not so much, but I am gradually liking it more and more. Just as, you know, I've been practising a bit more. But I used to find skin really, really tricky. I still do find it tricky, but not as much. I sort of have my go-to combos that are my safe combos, which are normally like the beige, red, cinnamon, and I think it was the burnt ochre, something like that. That's my go-to combo. Bit of ivory thrown in to burnish. What's your worst thing to colour? My absolute worst, I'm saying skin, I'm not confident with skin, but my absolute worst thing to colour, like I'll avoid it like the plague, is glass. Like, so for instance, if there's anything, or anything see-through, like iridescent, like if something's got a veil on, like clothing, like a veil, and it's, you have to colour it as being like see-through, I cannot do it. I avoid all pages like that. I avoid them. And that's not like me, because you've seen me tackle pages and I'm just like, oh, come on, if it doesn't turn out, it doesn't turn out, and I go in all guns blazing. But not with things like that. That really gets me. Yeah, stuff like veils and glass. So that's definitely part of this flower. What's, I've no clue, when there's things going off the edge of the page, I've no clue what they are. So I'm going to take it as this being part of some sort of flower. I mean, it could be this one, could be that one, who knows. But you just sort of make your own mind up on it. When it gets to little fiddly bits where you can't quite work out what they are, I do just like dot the pigment around, if that makes sense. These end bits though, really great on me. Right, I think that's that one. So this one I'm going to go in with a little bit of cream, not too much, but I'm just gonna work the cream from the darkest bit a bit up, like I did on one of the others, and then use the ivory on the tips. So the cream is, sorry, 102. I am really liking this, really liking it. I'm going to get the ivory now, which is 103, and just go on the edges, the edges. Can you believe as well, my children have already written the Christmas lists? Luckily, you know what, they've not really asked for too much. Last year they all asked for like iPads and laptops, so it was an expensive year last year, but now they've already got them. They've not really asked for anything too expensive this year, which is good. It's good. Santa's gonna be happy. Santa's gonna be happy. Right, I'm going to leave it at that for part one. Let's zoom you out. So that's what we've done so far. It doesn't look like a lot for an hour's work, but I've been enjoying the chat, and we did do the background as well, which was quite time consuming. So yeah, please do hit the thumbs up and subscribe if you're new. Please do drop me a comment down below. It really does help with the algorithm and for YouTube to promote my videos, as well as the thumbs up really helps as well. And tune in for part 2. So part 2 I will do the leaves, so I'm going to do the rest of the flowers off camera because I'm using all the same colours. So all the same colours. You can also do the other flowers in your own time, I'm sure. And then part 2 I'm going to come and show you what colours I'm going to use on the leaves. So thanks everybody for watching. I'll see you in part 2. Bye bye.